Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the Horsemen Hangout. It is Tuesday, January the 6th, the first Horsemen Hangout of the year 2015. We're short-staffed here. Mr. Root TV is not with us currently. He should be here later, but my name is Mr. Justin, and we have three of the four Horsemen and one of our special guests on the show tonight. Leading it off, we have Mr. Z, Anthony Zorzi, fresh off his Dallas Cowboys playoff victory, which we will get to. So, yeah, he's very happy, as you can see in the background there, the real Horseman, the physical Horseman hangout. A lot of Cowboy memorabilia. So, and replacing Mr. Root TV tonight is Mr. Stephen Page. What's going on, Steve?
What's going on, guys?
There you go. And fourth, last but not least, Mr. Lane, sir, right there.
Well, I'm live from the iPad this week, so I don't have my MacBook Air. I had to take it to the Apple Store yesterday, so I'm just doing it from my iPad. I think the camera looks.
Yeah, I hear with Apple you got to do that a lot. Take it to the Apple.
It looks good though. It looks good though, Mr. Lane. The camera on the iPad's really good.
Well, thank you, because I mean I'm still. This is the first time I'm doing it. I'm trying to debate if I can put graphics on the whole thing, or this is the first time.
I used to do it from my cell phone, and I know you can't put graphics from the cell phone, so I don't know if you can do it on the iPad or not.
Yeah, I'll just keep it as is.
Looks good. All right, let's get down to business, okay? So, jumping right into it, they say that things tend to happen in threes. So we have three things happen this past week, which were noteworthy for the Horseman Hangout. We'll get right down to the first one here, and I'm going to replay you guys something that happened last week on the show. If y'all can see my power of the iPhone here, I'm going to press play, and hopefully you guys can all hear this.
Strictly the wild card. As far as the NFC, I actually think the Panthers are going to beat the Cardinals. I think the Panthers' defense is actually playing surprisingly well. The past 5 weeks, they have the best passing defense in the NFL, second only to the Seattle Seahawks. So the second best passing defense in the NFL over the past 5 weeks. I heard that stat on SportsCenter today. And Ryan Lindley is awful. He's a third-string quarterback for a reason. Drew Stanton's not going to be ready. It's at Carolina. I think Carolina squeaks by. And as far as the Cowboys and Lions go, I really think Detroit matches up well against Dallas. I'm a little nervous for this game, but I ultimately think the Cowboys are playing the best football. I don't know what I said to make Mr. Lane freeze in time.
Mr. Lane, are you mocking Mr. Z?
Well, yeah. I was freezing for a minute because he was saying that the Cardinals will lose to the Panthers.
Mr. Lane, the Cardinals, correct me if I'm wrong, have lost 3 straight games. Is that correct?
Well, I'm just being brutally honest. I expect this game to be a defensive struggle. You'll be lucky to see it if a team.
All right, there you have it. So last week on the show, Mr. Z went out on a limb and said that the Panthers would beat the Cardinals. We all know now that that's what happened. So, item number one, Mr. Z on Twitter took to Twitter, and after the Carolina Panthers won, he requested an apology from Mr. Lane for the way he acted on the show when he made his prediction. Mr. Lane, I will let you have the floor here to make a statement about what happened at that game, and I'll just let you have the mic here.
All right. Well, I was working on Saturday. Quite frankly, I went to the to the new Wendy's that ain't too far from us. But anyway, back to our discussion last week. Z and myself, we were like head to head. Basically, we were discussing what the heck was going on, who was gonna win and whatnot, and I was shocked, to be honest with you, a little bit, because I thought, well, the Panthers were trailing temporarily, and then of course the Panthers won the game naturally. So I just want to apologize on the hangout as requested. Just want to give Mr. Z an apology straight up. We'll get to the other games in a little while, but I want to apologize to Mr. Z straight up for picking the Cardinals over the Panthers. I'm just manning up about it. So I just want to apologize to him. I was frozen. I had the freeze. It was a classic Horseman Hangout moment, by the way.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And you know, I appreciate you manning up, and you're a man of your word. You always have been. You always will be. And I just thought the Panthers' defense has been playing great football, and I think the Cardinals only had under 100 yards total offense. So that to me was the key in that game, and just having a little fun. That's all. But thank you, Mr. Lane.
I knew that. Man. I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was I sided with Mr. Lane. I thought the Cardinals would pull out the game. I didn't have a lot of faith in Cam Newton, but the Panthers looked pretty good. And we go on to the divisional week in the playoffs, and they advance. The next thing that I would like to discuss, of the three right off the bat that I need to get off here, is I'm going to call out Mr. Z here, and he may or may not know that this was coming. So Mr. Z's Dallas Cowboys fought back, and I'm not gonna be. I know Z will kill me, so I'm not gonna be one of those guys who complains about the refs. Okay, the bottom line is Dallas Cowboys won. Refs make a lot of calls in a game. You can't say one call ruined the game for Detroit, but Dallas Cowboys won fair and square. However, during the game, we were kind of going back and forth, letting Z know that the Cowboys were losing. It wasn't really me as much as it was Mr. Rue TV. Rue was kind of pestering Mr. Z. Touchdown Lions, I see. Bad news for Z, good news for the Motor City. Mr. Lane says, if the Lions win, should they be the new America's team? That far, the Lions have dominated the line of scrimmage. Okay. And then we go to, let's see, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Mr. Z says, Mr. Lane, with all due respect, shut the bleep up. Now, to me, I thought that was just a total lack of respect, lack of being a gentleman. As a horseman, we are bred to be gentlemen. So I'm going to let Mr. Z see if he has an apology in him to Mr. Lane for the way that he acted during that game. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Z.
I do, and I did apologize after the game. Here's my take.
You did.
I'm a very superstitious person. You guys know this. Justin, you know this from going to games with me. I'm a very superstitious person, and I don't like to talk during games. I don't like to get or send messages, receive messages. I don't like to talk about the game during the game because whatever we say has no impact on the game, obviously. But for some reason, I feel like if I'm sending text messages or talking during the game, my team will lose. So I try to stay as quiet as possible. And I just had some rage bottled up that I used poor language to my good friend Mr. Lane. I did apologize for that, and I will take it like a man and apologize to everyone out there. That's not me. That's not usually how I act, and I just let my emotions get the best of me. And I apologize, Mr. Lane, if I offended you or anything.
It's all good, man. It's good. It's good. Because I can we discuss about the Z's Cowboy victory, please? Can we discuss?
No, we're getting to that. We're getting to that.
We'll the opening segment, and then we'll get in the football.
All right. And third, one that took the Twitter world by storm. A tweet that was sent out.
How did this not lead off Raw last night? How did this not lead off Raw last night? It was National Wrestling News.
Not only. All right. Well, let me do the backstory here. So Triple H Guy 2004, 2 days ago, tweets at GFW Wrestling at JR's BBQ. Who the bleep is Wilbur Schneider? Hashtag Wrestle Kingdom 9. Background is there was a show on, I believe, Sunday night, Wrestle Kingdom 9, that I didn't see, but it was a joke. Well, I'll let Steven talk about that, but I don't know who Wilbur Schneider is, to be honest. What happened was JR saw this tweet, he responded directly to Steven and blocked him. Not only did that happen, but then Ted the $1 Million Man DiBiase saw the tweet and also responded negatively. And I was just kind of confused because I thought it was a joke. I think we all knew it was a joke. But Steven is now blocked from good old JR. Steven, what is your take on what happened there on Sunday?
Okay, my intent was totally joking. You know, I got his name wrong. Maybe he got ticked off that I got his name wrong.
What's his name? It's not
You
Wilbur
know,
Schneider?
his name is Wilbur Schneider. I just spelt his name wrong. I spelt it. I don't remember how I spelt it. Oh, Scheider, and it's actually Snyder. Not a big deal. But JR, I believe, took it as a sign of disrespect towards him and his hard work that he had put into the New Japan Pro Wrestling show. I don't know exactly what the move was that he mentioned Wilbert Schneider. But you know, I just said it jokingly. JR took offense to it. He blocked me. That's the story. There's not much more to that. The intent by it was, you know, if you're hanging out with your buddies and just say, you know, I'll just say, Justin, you throw out there, you know, some name, we'll just make up a name here, Billy Schubeck, as a wrestler. You got to watch this guy. He's amazing. And, you know, Mr. Lane says, who the fuck is that guy, you know? That's what I meant by it.
And I will read JR's response. He said, Wilbur Snyder, Google him, a stud. BTW, by the way, blocked. So, and then going down the list here.
Oh, wait, by the way, it has been retweeted 30 times and favorited 130 times as of 8:30 tonight.
Wow.
There you go. So a little unintentional bit of celebrity there for you. If you could do it again, would you take it back? Would you take back what you said?
Oh yeah, I would definitely take it back. It's the tweet that won't die in my book.
The tweet that will live on forever. You know, maybe. Well, you did meet JR in person, right? How was he? How was his demeanor? Was he a good dude in person? I've heard good things.
The way I met him wasn't in a setting where, well, I did meet him in Access, but I had a broken leg at the time, so I was in a cast, so they kind of, you know, the disabled people, the handicapped, if you will, get put in their own little section, and then they're sitting up at the table with him and Jerry Lawler happen to be signing together, and then they come down for the, you know, people who can't stand in the regular line. You know, for whatever reason, they can't stand. There's, you know, wheelchairs take up a lot of room, so they put them to a separate side, and they come down, and they talk to you and whatnot. Jerry Lawler was great. JR just seemed to be very, you know, I don't know if he was drunk from the night before or if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, but,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna let that moment, you know, tarnish the respect that I have for Jim Ross, and I'm not gonna let this tarnish the respect that I have for Jim Ross. I'm still going to watch him. I'll still support him for whatever he does.
Steve, that was the WrestleMania in Miami, correct?
Correct, yes.
Me and Justin were actually there, and I guarantee we had to be at the same Access together, and we just didn't realize
Yes,
it.
because I looked at your picture on Twitter, and there was a picture of you and what's his name,
John
Laurinaitis, and we were at that Access when he was taking
we had to have been standing like 50 feet from you.
He was taking questions from the crowd. I remember, and I think I saw a picture. Did you ask one of the questions?
Yes, I did actually ask one of the questions. I think it was something like, "What would you do if you became the Raw general manager?"
Yes, I remember that question.
His whole, you know.
Yes,
he was.
I didn't know you at the.
Blah blah blah. He went into his whole John Laurinaitis spiel.
Yeah, I didn't know you at the time, but I remember that question being asked.
Small world, people. Small world.
That would have been great if we would have met you before. It would have been fun, but anyway. So there are your three things leading off. A lot of things happened this week in the Horsemen Hangout world, but a lot of stuff outside the Horsemen Hangout world also happened, including the NFL playoffs, the Hall of Fame selection, also
Pedro Martinez, baby, yeah.
Monday Night Raw happened. So, you know, let's. I guess we'll just dig right into Monday Night Raw. For those of you that did watch it, I watched most of it. I fell asleep because they followed a good Raw up last week with a pretty bad Raw last night, but not terrible. But some of the things that stuck out, going off of what you guys mentioned about good old JR being such a great announcer. I was trying not to mute the broadcast because JBL was so bad and it's just so grating on my ears. It was terrible. I don't know how he's even has a job anymore. So I wish Rue could be on here and talk about that. But we saw, Dolph Ziggler lose his belt to Bad News Barrett. You could see that as a bad thing or a good thing. I guess I'll go to Mr. Lane. Did he get a chance to catch any of the show last night?
I watched a little bit of it. I just thought it was too predictable as far as I'm concerned. You knew that the Authority was just gonna run roughshod on Raw last night, as it was. Because just to break it down, you just brought up the factor Dolph Ziggler. You just brought him up. He had lost the IC title to a guy that Triple H said that, and for facts, never lost it. He lost the title because he had gotten injured in Bad News Barrett. And then later on in the evening, he, along, of course, with Ryback and I believe also Eric Rowan, I think it was, they all got fired, and then they were playing some American type theme music at the end, and the fans were so silent, and it was a head scratcher to me, because let's just say last night, with the Authority was really just pushing its weight around, and I didn't expect anything less than that. Because they came back to Raw. I personally think, like I said last week, I thought they came back a few weeks too soon. I think they should have came back maybe around the Royal Rumble, maybe, or something. But they're just pushing their weight around, basically. I mean, you had Ryback in a handicap match. You had I think Luke Harper lost to Eric, or Luke Harper beat Eric Rowan. Beat him last night, and like I just said, Ziggler lost the IC title, and then all of them got fired.
Yeah.
Which to me, I know it's a storyline, it's an angle, I get it, but it's a head scratcher to me. It'll be interesting to see how the Royal Rumble will play out, and I think Z, you said you're going to the event too. I think you said you're going to the Royal Rumble in Philadelphia, and I want to see who the heck's gonna be at the Royal Rumble, or these fired guys going to be at the Royal Rumble or not. I think they probably will be. It would make sense for business if they did. At least, be in there for the show. So that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. Steve, did you get a chance to watch Raw? And what did you take from it?
I watched Raw, and it was just the same old, recycled, stuff that they were doing before the Survivor Series. The Authority is the heel authority figures. I think they could have brought him back and, in a different, kind of, the way they wanted you to believe was that they were going to be, partial to everybody. It was going to be a fair thing. And then obviously through the night, we realized, that wasn't going to be the case. They're just going back to being the Authority.
Yeah. I'll ask this question to Mr. Z. Because my point I wanted to make about Dolph Ziggler is a lot of people have been high on Ziggler recently, as have I. And with him dropping the IC belt, a lot of people would say the Intercontinental belt, that's a bad thing for Ziggler. But I'll say, with him losing the belt and Ziggler getting it back, Bad News Barrett getting it back, and getting it back because the Authority, made the rule that it was a 2 out of 3 falls, kind of screwed him over. Does that open the door for Ziggler as a dark horse in the Royal Rumble to walk away with the #1 contender shot at WrestleMania?
I'm a big Ziggler fan as well. I think he's a great worker. He works really hard. Got to give him a ton of credit. He goes out there night in, night out, and performs at a very high level. As far as the Royal Rumble goes, I don't think he's going to win the Royal Rumble. I think he's kind of the odd man out right now. Where is he in the main event picture? Who does he feud with? You have your top players. You have your Rollins with Lesnar and with Cena. You have Ambrose right now with Bray Wyatt, but they're, in other words, they're closer to the top of the mountain than Ziggler is right now. There's no one really there's nowhere to put Dolph Ziggler. I think he's kind of unfortunately just lost in the shuffle. Left to the twirl with the mid-carders for right now. Until an opportunity opens up where he can jump in, but I just don't see it because Roman Reigns is right there too. I forgot to mention him in the
Yes.
title picture.
Let me rephrase the question. I'm going to ask it to the other guys too. Take away Roman Reigns, take away Daniel Bryan, wipe them clean from the Royal Rumble. Who is the favorite to win the Rumble if it's not one of those two guys?
Oh man, if it's not one of those two guys, I don't know if he'll be in the Rumble match, but I'm gonna have to go with John Cena.
Cena?
I don't know if he probably won't be in the Rumble match, but you can't count him out. If you take away those two guys, I'm gonna go with Cena. I think Ziggler's the guy who will enter very early and hang around to the very end.
Yeah.
Just get eliminated.
I just feel like Philly might riot if Cena wins. But anyway, Stephen Page, if take away Bryan and Roman Reigns, who is the favorite in the Rumble?
That's a tough question. I mean, I just don't see anybody that's on, Roman Reigns is coming back. They're, pushing him, obviously. They're, putting the promos out there. They're giving him more mic work. They're giving him, the time that he needs to get over. And then Daniel Bryan obviously has the built-in storyline that he's, been out for the 6 months and whatnot. But I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard question to answer, and I honestly don't have an answer for you.
Root TV, take away Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Who wins the Rumble?
Well, I'd like to see Daniel Bryan win, but I still think deep in my gut that the hell I don't need a stupid hat. I still think deep in my gut that Roman Reigns is their chosen one. So if I were to put
my question was, if you can't pick one of those two, who is the third? Who's the next favorite to win?
Oh gosh, I would have to say Dean Ambrose, because I guess there's a slight chance that Seth Rollins might nab the title at Rumble. Then you do Rollins, Ambrose for the title at Mania.
True, and welcome to the show, Rue. Nice to have you.
Yeah, nice to be here. Yeah.
Rue TV's here. All right.
Mr. Lane, sir, my question to you is, the Authority came in and made the triple threat match, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena versus Seth Rollins. I'm kind of bummed me out. I kind of just wanted to see a one-on-one, even though they're not great wrestlers. What do you think? Is it still Lesnar going to defend his title and win this, or how's that going to shake out?
You know what? I think Lesnar will win. I think he'll take the championship to WrestleMania, because I think he'll be done after WrestleMania. Probably, I think he'll be done. We went through it as wrestling fans when really during Brock Lesnar's first run, he had a match, of course, against Goldberg. So I expect Lesnar to retain the championship for some weird reason. And I think Seth Rollins, that's a head scratcher too. Why is Seth Rollins in the championship match to begin with?
Yeah,
it's probably an authority thing. And then you have Seth Rollins who's supposedly a Paul Heyman guy now. So it's crazy. And to answer your question, dumb as it sounds, I'll give you a couple of names, and they might not they might be under the radar. Ryan, I thought, brought up a good answer with Dean Ambrose. Why not? I think, silly as it sounds, I think Rusev or also another one, I would say, of course, Ziggler. I think Rusev or Ziggler. Rusev is a very, very hot heel. He's a very hot bad guy right now. When he comes into the ring, fans boo the hell out of him. And when he and Ron are together, I know he's undefeated. Yes, he's the United States champion. I just think Rusev or Ziggler, those are like my two dark horse guys. Just to be in the fun.
Sure. Thank you. And before we move on from Raw and get to the NFL playoffs, Hall of Fame stuff, I want to ask Rue, since he just came on the show. I'm not going to put my 2 cents in, but what are your thoughts on this new tag team, the Ascension, who just squashed? For the first time I've seen in a long time, they had a squash match with jobbers that didn't even announce their names. The broadcast didn't even say who they were. They just were there, and it just happened. So, what do you think about the Ascension and their whole gimmick and their look?
Personally, I don't like it because it comes off total as a poor man's Demolition, poor man's LOD, like literally poor man's, like not even you couldn't even anyone who's seen 5 minutes of Demolition or LODs and sees these guys know that they can't hold a candle to them. I just wanted to say that what JBL said is out of line, and no matter how much they suck, which they kind of do suck character-wise. I mean, they're pretty good wrestlers. Can't cut promos. Their characters suck. But that's still no reason for JBL to bury them on air. I heard a lot of so to answer your question, no, I don't like them. Wrestler-wise, they're fine, but they don't fit the character. Neither of them have good bodies. Hawk and Animal, were monsters. Not that you have to be a monster, but if you have that gimmick of crazy monsters, you got to look like a monster. Those guys look like Christopher Daniels and some guys slightly bigger than Christopher Daniels. They just don't look the part. That said, I heard a lot of people were like pissed off because they mentioned the Road Warriors in their promo. One thing, because
Lance turned off Raw at that point.
Lance Storm turned off Raw. Well, screw Lance Storm, seriously. The deal is, number one, they were told word for word what to say, and number two, how is that offensive by even bringing up Hawk and saying that we're better than them? I mean, grow the hell up.
This is the same company that did the Paul Bear thing. Like, and I'm not saying that was wrong at all. I'm just saying, like, why can't they talk about Legion of Doom?
I think the gimmick is very cheesy. It's very 80s. They're probably, if they wanted to do that gimmick, which is basically, they call it the Ascension, but let's be realistic. It's basically like a Road Warrior Demolition type tough guy monster gimmick. If they wanted to do that, it probably could have worked with different people. You know what I mean? Like legit crazy, roided up guys who just got in there and just beat the crap out of people. It probably could have worked because it has really been a long time since we've seen a tag team like this. I can't think of the last time we've had a tag team like that since LOD. Or maybe like the Pitbulls in ECW. But these two guys, it's just not going to work. They're not over. They're not going to get over. It's not going to work. So I'm sorry to say, but no, it's a thumbs down from me. Sorry, guys.
Stephen Page, thumbs up or thumbs down?
I don't care either way. I just don't see them. They seem like just a tag team that's just going to come out and squash people, and that's all good and dandy. But I don't see these guys having a 25 minute match on WrestleMania. I just don't.
The thing I don't understand is, I watch NXT once in a while, and they wanted to bring up a tag team from NXT. They have talent down there. I mean,
right.
I'm not saying for them to bring up the Sin Cara and the other guy, the whatever Lucha team. But, I mean, the gentlemen, I forgot their name, but those guys are all right. I mean, they're better than the Ascension, I think. They're heels, right, Rue?
Yeah, they're pretty good, and they got a pretty good
Kalisto and Cara, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying them. I'm saying the guys with the mustaches.
Yeah, the old-time Carney.
The Van...
The Vaudevillians.
The Vaudevillians, yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, with the new main event, heading towards Rumble, it'll be a great show, but Raw's kind of sucking. So, anyway, time to move on. Mr. Z, this is your chance, okay? We had the NFL playoffs, and Mr. Lane's Denver Broncos in the second round here.
Fuck.
Dallas Cowboys, New England Patriots are all here. And, Mr. Lane on the boogie board says Cowboys plus Lions equals fair game. That is a math equation. I did get a chance to watch all 4 games, not all 4 games, but, the Cowboys showed some heart, and Tony Romo did not choke as I predicted and many predicted. The whole Chris Christie thing, I don't know. I don't talk about that. But anyway, let's start off with the Dallas Cowboys. Mr. Z, the win with the Lions, if you want to comment about that, and I guess I don't want to get to the predictions, but do they have enough firepower to beat Green Bay in Green Bay this week?
Well, I'll just be brief here because I don't want to be, I don't want to get into too much detail. But As far as the game goes, yeah, obviously I'm very happy with the result. I'm happy with the way the Cowboys played and showed some resolve to come back and win that game when down 14-0. Here's the bigger issue. People are going to complain, mostly Eagles fans are going to complain about the refs and a conspiracy with Jerry Jones paying off the refs. That's not true at all. Basically, I'll break it down for you. The Lions went out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, and for 3 whole quarters had multiple chances to put the Cowboys away and didn't do it. They scored 6 points in 3 quarters. They have nobody to blame but themselves for losing that game. Was the call a bad call? Absolutely, it was a bad call. It should have been called. It shouldn't have been pass interference like most idiots think. It actually was defensive holding. But multiple calls could have been made on that play because the reverse angle, which most Eagles fans won't even acknowledge, the reverse angle showed the Detroit Lions tight end pulling the Cowboys linebacker down by his face mask, which is also an offensive penalty. But that's neither here nor there. Bottom line is Detroit had plenty of opportunities to put the Cowboys away and just didn't do it. So they have no one to blame but themselves for losing the game. Fans can whine all they want because they're obsessed with the Dallas Cowboys. They're just butthurt Eagles fans that their team isn't in the playoffs, and they feel like rooting against the Cowboys is a justification to give them a purpose in this playoffs. Well, there's no purpose when your team doesn't make it. You don't have a purpose. You need to really reevaluate your own shitty team. As far as the Chris Christie thing goes, I am the furthest from a Chris Christie fan. I really dislike the guy. I did not vote for him in 2009. I won't vote for him in any election that he runs for. But quite frankly, I don't really care that he's in the box with Jerry Jones. I don't give 2 shits that he's in the box with Jerry Jones. He can celebrate like a weirdo all he wants. He can wear that stupid sweater all he wants. It does not bother me. I don't know why people are making such an issue of it. It's not a big deal. For example, Howard Eskin, on my way home from the gym tonight, said that because he was in the box, he'll almost guarantee that he won't become the next president. I can guarantee you that that won't factor into it. If you're going to vote for someone, a political office, regardless of who it is, based off what football team they root for, you really need to reevaluate your whole stance on this country. Howard Eskin also speculated that he might go to jail because of it. This is the level of stupidity that these Eagles people are taking it to a whole new level. Just get off it. And I had some words with a friend of the show, nicknamed Beer Man, about this via social media. I told him to just cry about it. If he's really that concerned about the call and Chris Christie, he should just have a good cry and let it all out. But I just can't get over the outrage of Eagles fans. Just get over it. It's jealousy. It's so off-based. But I'm done with my little rant here. But I'm very happy the Cowboys won, and they absolutely have the firepower to beat Green Bay.
This is what I'll say about Chris Christie. Okay, it's a free country. He is free to like whatever team he likes, and it's fine. He's honest and he's true. If he's a Cowboys fan since he was growing up, it's fine. It's fine. My problem with Chris Christie, I'm not talking about politics at all because he's bad enough with that. But not get into that. This is what his problem has always been with dealing with his constituents and the people that he's supposed to represent. Is they ask him a question, he didn't just say I'm a Cowboys fan. He could have just left it with that, but then he says the Philadelphia Eagles fans are the dumbest fans in the country. What? Yeah. The first thing, that's not true, even though you might think that's true. Okay, there may be a handful of Eagles fans that are idiotic, which is probably true.
Just look at the 4 teams in Philadelphia. The Eagles fan base is definitely the dumbest out of the 4.
But how? Do all the Eagles fans line up and take an IQ test and
say,
all right,
you listen to Sports Talk Radio, don't you? The level of dumb calls for Eagles are far and beyond any other team.
Yes, but I know a lot of Eagles fans that don't call into those stupid shows. They're the dumb guys. Oh, my voice heard. Oh, my voice heard. And I don't call in.
It just seems that they have more of a voice than the other fans.
I want to break it down to math because this is I know we've touched upon this before. If you were to take an educated guess, what is Eagles fans, Phillies fans, how are they different? I know you've addressed this before, Z, and I totally get what you're saying because I personally have been to an Eagles game, and there's a lot of jackasses. That doesn't discount the fact that there are a lot of good Eagles fans, like my brother, and Mr. Lane isn't an Eagles fan, but there are a lot of good Eagles fans too. But what is are Eagles fans and Phillies fans, for the most part, one and the same? Or what is the percentage? Does anyone want to, what is the percentage? I would say, I don't know, 70, percent similar? Like what is? I don't understand. Like,
No, I mean they're definitely similar because a lot of them are the same people. It's just people's views. I think it's because the NFL is so popular. People just their views are just way off balance, and a lot of it because we're all sports radio fans, but a lot of it is fueled by the morons that are hosting radio shows on sports talk radio and things like that. People are easily influenced by that. But I mean, do you honestly think the outrage of this Cowboys game was like this in any other city other than Detroit? I mean, think about it. Do you think that people in New York cared as much as people in Philadelphia cared about the stupid Cowboys-Lions game, a game that had no bearing on them in any way whatsoever?
I think the Giants cared. I think New York people hate the Cowboys. I don't know about Washington should, but I don't know the Washington media, so I don't know what they said there.
Here's a thought, and I want to put.
I'll give you an example. I'll show you a picture. Okay, This was the cover of the Daily News, the Philadelphia Daily News, the day after the Cowboys game. Okay, this is a Philadelphia newspaper.
Okay.
Compared, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay? It compared the Kennedy assassination to this football game.
Yeah, that's low.
Come on.
No, I hear you.
It's low. If I agree with what you're saying there, man, because just read what the boogie board just says right here. It was fair game because I did the homework on the numbers. The penalties were even like the whole game. The Lions had one penalty more than the Dallas Cowboys. Now, as far as the game went, it was an excellent football game. And like you just said, you're absolutely correct. The Lions only have themselves to blame for their loss because see, there were penalties called on both sides of the bush. Basically, there were penalties called on both sides. See, 99. Like I'll give you an example. The 99-yard touchdown for Eagle fans that want to cry about the Cowboys benefiting with referees. Let me just say this. How did the Lions score on a 99-yard drive? Cowboys were penalized for running into the kicker, which gave the Lions a first down, continued their drive, scored a touchdown. And then the Cowboys had 2 touchdowns nullified because of penalties. 2 touchdowns that were notified because of penalties. So that's why I feel it was fair game. The Lions scored 0 fourth quarter points. Okay, the Cowboys won the game. The Cowboys won. Like I said, they were going to win. I thought.
That's not my argument. We're not arguing about that.
I'll take you guys back to week 2. And this is what I said to my Eagles friend on Twitter. Week 2, Indianapolis Colts, Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles win that game because of 2 calls by the referee. One was a blown holding call on Ken Williams in the fourth quarter. That was a blatant pass interference call, not called. The second was a flag that was picked up for a hold or a horse collar tackle on LaShawn McCoy to win the Eagles the game in the last drive. Nobody complained about that one, right?
I don't understand. Me and Rue aren't complaining about that. I agreed. It's fine, and I agree with what you're saying. That Colts game, Colts got screwed, but that's how NFL is. I'm not arguing that. I was arguing
the outrage in the city right now is like at a 10. But after that Colts game, no one wanted to talk about the integrity of the NFL or anything like that. I mean, now everyone wants to bring that into question because it's the Dallas Cowboys. I guess I just don't understand the Eagles' obsession or the fan base's obsession with the Cowboys. Yeah, we all hate our rivals, but do you hate do you hate the Mets as much as people in this city really hate the Cowboys? I think it's an obsession. I really do.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's get an outsider's perspective. Somebody that lives outside of the tri-state area. Stephen Page, in the greater New England area, all that jazz. Do they hate the Cowboys the way that they do here in Philadelphia? Is there hate for the Cowboys? They talk about them a lot.
No, we talk more about the Yankees, how we hate them, and
right.
With the Red Sox and the Yankees, of course, is the biggest rivalry around here.
Yeah,
I would think. Actually, I would think around here, the Patriots fans would hate the Giants more than they would hate the Cowboys.
I just think,
Giants move.
It's a similar kind of deal where it's like, it's a built-in rivalry. You know, it started years and years ago. I can remember being in the '90s.
It's a one-sided rivalry.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not talking about. See, I'm not talking about like skills. I mean, the Cowboys were awesome; they were a dynasty. But there was some sort of similar to the Yankees. There was this underlying arrogance that a lot of the people. I mean, I can remember vividly. Was it Jerry? One of their managers. It wasn't Jimmy Johnson. It was the guy after him. Who was
Barry Switzer.
Barry Switzer. I remember him after he won a Super Bowl, getting on the mic and cutting a promo. How about them Cowboys? No offense to the Cowboys.
That was Jimmy Johnson.
Whatever. I think it was Barry Switzer. I'm pretty sure.
No, it was Jimmy Johnson after the '92 NFC Championship game.
I think he might have said. I'm pretty sure it was Switzer, but you're probably right because you know more about the boys.
Well, Switzer was the one that said, "We did it. We did it."
That might have been what I'm thinking. But the point.
What did he do? What did he do?
They were saying, "We did it, we did it, we did it."
But the point of it is, I mean, first of all, I'm not too proud to admit that the Cowboys have had some awesome teams, but it's similar to the Yankees where there's just some kind of confidence which might get misinterpreted as arrogance by some fans, and that's where the hatred begins. So that's my opinion.
All right. Well, let's we can't spend all day on this. We could, but we can't. So let's move on here. We're going to get to the NFL predictions for the divisional round, but I want to switch gears here to something I hold near and dear to my heart. That is the Baseball Hall of Fame inductions. We saw 4 players go in today, get inducted. A lot of players maybe should have gotten a call, didn't. My favorite player growing up, non-Philly as a kid, Rue would know, Mike Piazza did not get the call. Hopefully next year he gets that call. But we have Craig Biggio of the Houston Astros, John Smoltz of the Mr. Lancers Atlanta Braves, Randy Johnson of multiple teams, the Seattle Mariners.
Mr. Lane is beaming right now.
And Pedro Martinez of Mr. Page's Boston Red Sox.
Beloved Philadelphia Phillies. Don't sell them short.
True, and our Philadelphia Phillies. I retweeted the Phillies tweet this year. Well, you know, the 4 that got in, I think, are obviously deserving. We can have another discussion that'll take an hour about like this Cowboys thing, about how they are going about the voting and the whole PED discussion, the PED discussion, because I just something rubs me the wrong way about it. The way that Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds are getting 5% of the vote. Well, you know, Sosa's not even getting a vote when, you know, they were named as PED users, and there's others that were named in the Mitchell Report, but there were obviously a lot more people who were never named that are going to go in the Hall of Fame, and no one's ever just because these other players like Palmeiro were found out, they're not going in, but the other players who are probably lying and probably did. Listen, I'm not naming names, but Ken Griffey Jr. might have done steroids. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer next year because nobody found out about him. But all these guys that people found out about are going to be out of the Hall of Fame. I just find it hard in this day and age to.
So do you think?
Really,
so what do you think? You think that those guys, the guys that got caught, should be considered?
No, this is what I always said. I said that you have to look at this is what wins above replacement means. You look at the player in his era, in his generation, among the whole pool that he was. You can't compare Mark McGwire's numbers to Jimmy Fox's numbers back in the day. You can compare generation versus generation, even though you know that McGwire did it and another player didn't. At least you're comparing the PED generation all together. That's how I felt. So I don't know if McGwire should have gotten it, because all he really had was home runs. He wasn't a great defender, didn't hit for a lot of average, but I'm just saying, like, they got to stop holding that against people. Barry Bonds, in my mind, his transgressions are awful, but a lot of other people did the same thing, and he was still one of the best players in the league. I think Barry Bonds deserves to be in. That's just my opinion. Mr. Lane, I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, all I have to say is basically the writers got it correct, basically, because, you know, John Smoltz deserved it, Pedro Martinez deserved it. I mean, he had, like, I was listening to a little bit of the radio earlier today, and I saw that Pedro Martinez had an excellent, like, 1999 and 2000 season. Like, especially in '99, he was absolutely off the charts that year.
Right,
mean,
right when it was they were hitting the most home runs, when it was the highlight of the Pet era.
And he was a great pitcher that year. And of course you have Craig Biggio, Mr. Houston Astro himself. I mean, he played his whole career as an Astro. For some people, including myself, who remember Craig Biggio, he used to be a catcher, briefly in his career.
Oh, come on, Mr. Lane.
He was a catcher prior to being a second baseman.
Mr. Lane, you just ruined one of the trivia questions.
Hey.
Sorry, Flyers just wanted a shootout. That's why I'm fist bumping.
Correct me if I'm
correct.
Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Z. But they never win shootouts.
That is correct, Rue. They are the worst team in the NHL percentage-wise in shootout wins since the shootout came back in 2005.
I'll think of another question to ask now.
Sorry,
All right. Well, listen, it's getting a little late, so let's do the trivia right now. As you can imagine, trivia this week will be based on the Hall of Fame class of 2015 here for Major League Baseball. So I had 5 questions. I have 4 definites. I'll try to get another one off the top of my head because Mr. Lane took my Craig Biggio question. But all right, let's start. Question number 1, first person to answer gets a point. The big unit, Randy Johnson, inducted in this year. What was the first team he made his debut with in the majors?
Montreal Expos.
Mr. Z got it first. The Montreal Expos is correct.
Mr. Lane, for bonus point, name every team Randy Johnson played for.
Oh, you want to challenge me now? I had a question that I was going to text Justin in a couple seconds here that he can probably use for the show. But anyway, he pitched for the Expos, I believe Mariners, Diamondbacks, Astros, Yankees. I think the San Francisco Giants. He won his 300th game with the Giants.
You got them all, right?
I think I got them all there.
Yeah. Good work by you.
And who did he pitch a perfect game against? What team?
Against my Braves, Mr. Z. It was a terrible moment.
I remember that. It was on TBS, wasn't it?
Yep.
I think Skip Carey might have done the broadcast there. All right. Second question. John Smoltz, pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. What team drafted John Smoltz?
The Red Sox.
That's a good question.
I'll give you a hint. I don't know. That's too obvious. Animal. It's an animal. Nah. Kid Rock.
Detroit Tigers.
Detroit Tigers. I kind of gave that one away. I kind of made a specific question. Where's Kid Rock from? So I'm gonna just take that away. Detroit Tigers. That is a tough one. And he was traded to the Braves organization. All right. Third question.
Oh, we lost Mr. Lane.
We lost Mr. Lane. I think he's having broadcast problems. All right. What we're going to do, we're going to take a timeout from trivia, and we're going to ask Mr. Lane to broadcast
all right,
this
I'm
wrestling.
back. I did text you a question that you can make up if you don't have it. Text message there, buddy.
Okay, we'll use that. Mr. Lane, we're taking a break from trivia real quick. We want you to do the commentary for Rue's wrestling match here that he's got going on. So give her a whirl.
Lex Luger, the Undertaker. What is this? Luger attacking the Undertaker, and Luger going for the torture rack on the Undertaker here. Oh my goodness, he slammed into the canvas. Is he getting him the pin? 1, 2, no Taker takes. And let's see here. Undertaker kicking butt, kicking the narcissist's butt. Oh my goodness. And he's going for the tombstone power driver. And
He's going to bury him in the middle of the ring.
1,
Yeah, Steven, do color.
and the Undertaker is the winner. Ooh,
He had his hat on the whole time. He whooped his ass with his hat on the whole time.
Oh, yes, Undertaker.
I think we just got a new segment, a new weekly segment. I think, Drew, you have enough wrestlers. I think you do a match every week, and we have two guys do the color and the play-by-play.
Yeah, look at this Narcissus Lex Luger here. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We can do one guy do color and play-by-play. Yep.
All right, good. So this week, Undertaker defeated Lex Luger with the Tombstone Piledriver. All right, back
Do the trivia, buddy.
to trivia. Pedro Martinez, just going into the Hall of Fame as well. Please name the older brother of Pedro Martinez.
Ramon.
Ramon.
Ramon is correct. Z is quick. Trust me, I know from that game we used to play on computer, Quiz
That's
Up.
what she said.
That's what she said. All right, so the score is 2-0 Z. Next question is the question Mr. Lane gave me, and he has the answer, so he's not going to be able to answer this.
I'm disqualified for this one.
Disqualified. All right. What team did John Smoltz come from prior to the Atlanta Braves?
Oh, God, Reds?
No. Close,
Detroit?
though.
I thought it was Detroit Tigers.
Correct, Mr. Z. Z is correct. It was the Detroit Tigers.
Wait, that was my question. I said he was drafted by the Tigers.
Yeah, well, that's correct because
All right, so he just repackaged my question. Okay.
he was traded. And I'll give Z or anybody else a follow up for the next question. I'll do if I may, Z or Justin. Sorry. What player did John Smoltz get traded for from the Detroit Tigers in 1987?
Julio Franco.
Nope. Pitcher.
Steve Bedrosian.
Nope.
He went from the Braves to the Tigers in '87.
And he pitched for the Tigers in the 1987 postseason.
Don Drysdale.
No, sir.
That was the year I was born.
Wayne Gomes.
Like 2 years. What year was this? 1987?
That's correct.
Yeah, I was like 3 years old.
I don't know. My '80s trivia is not my baseball knowledge of the '80s is probably
I was just born in June of '87, so.
All right,
Yeah.
Drew, you want to give it a shot there, man? You want to give it a shot?
Oh, God. 80.
He played on the Detroit Tigers in the 1987 American League Championship Series. Now,
initials.
I'm sorry.
What are the initials?
Yeah, that would help.
It would be the initials are D.A. D.A.
Dave Adams. I don't know. I don't even know if that's a real name.
No.
I'm drawing a blank, Mr. Lane.
Yo, you gentlemen give up?
Yes, sir.
You guys submit?
Yes, sir.
Does Justin's friend submit?
Elfie's here. She's rooting on her Villanova Wildcats are playing right now.
Does Elfie submit to the question? You submit, Miss Elfie? All right. The answer was
She'll submit to you, Mr. Lane.
the answer to the question was Doyle Alexander.
I would have never got that.
Doyle Alexander.
That's
All right,
that was a great picture of his
It
dad.
might as well have been Wilbur Schneider.
Drew, I'll let you go back and watch the first portion of the Hangout. We kind of addressed all the three lingering things with the Hangout. One of those things being the Wilbur Schneider incident.
I'm going to start a television show, and it's going to be called Who in the Hell is Wilbur Schneider?
Meet
All right.
Wilbur Schneider.
Back to the trivia. Last question. It's close to the pin question. Randy Johnson, career strikeouts. I need a number. I'll start with Mr. Lane.
God.
4,100.
All right. Rue TV.
Oh, God.
You know Mr. Lane's probably close because he's
Yeah,
close.
yeah. I'm going to say 4,350. 4,350.
All right. Mr. Page.
What was Mr. Lane's answer again?
4,100.
Is that what he
I
said?
will go 1,101.
Boxing
Is
in.
it the Price is Right?
Yeah, it's close. It's closest without going over. Is that the rules, Mr. Justin?
No, this is
Are you
Who's
a-
Bob Barker?
Closest to the
Bob
pin.
Barker.
So is it closest without going over, or it's just closest to the pin?
We are
Closest to the
really cooking now.
I'll say 3,982.
Barker's Beauties.
All right, closest to the pin was Mr. Roo TV, who said 4,350. The correct answer was 4,875 strikeouts for the big unit.
Wow.
So, trivia this week goes to Mr. Z, but nice answer there, Roo.
4,800. If he would have held off a couple more years, he would have had 5,000, right?
Yeah, but he was pretty much done, I think, by his last year. He was.
Yeah,
When he was pitching for the Giants, he was on fumes.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so now we move on to the last topic of the night, and I wanted to get our playoff predictions for this coming week. I asked you to do it on a napkin, or I didn't text Steve, I forgot, but hopefully I have mine here. I guess I'll start. This is a paper towel used for cleaning messes, watery messes or something. So I'll start with the AFC here. I'll go the NFC. Mr. Z may like seeing this. Dallas and Green Bay. I'm going to go with Dallas. I think Green Bay really struggled in the last part of the year, even though it's at home. Dallas is, coming off a big win, so I'll go with Dallas. Carolina, Seattle. I think that's a big Seattle win victory. They're lopsided because it's hard to win in Seattle, and that's it. In the AFC, I'm going to go with the New England Patriots over the Baltimore Ravens. Not going to explain that. It's just how it's going to go. And sorry, Mr. Lane, but I'm going to go with my lucky Andrew Luck to upset the Denver Broncos and set up a New England-Indianapolis AFC Championship game. I just have a good feeling about this. I think the Patriots get it done. I mean, the Colts get it done in Denver. So they're my picks for this coming week. I think last week we all had a pretty rough 4 games. I don't think any of us really got 4 for 4. So.
Oh, I was too.
All right, Mr. Lane, do you want to give your picks now?
Well, I will give you my predictions right here. The 12th man of Seattle will win. Sorry, Z, the Packers will beat the Cowboys.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say Patriots and Broncos. But I will partially agree with Justin. If there is a team that will potentially do an upset, it probably is the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to be honest because, is it Andrew Luck's time yet? Will it be his time to shine in the playoffs? Because it's really the sheriff of Peyton Manning right here against Andrew Luck. It's really the sheriff against the student. Really the teacher versus the student. Let's be real about it. Yep. So we could see if Andrew. Let's see if Andrew Luck does win. It could be a passing of the torch, Justin. You never know.
Yes.
Of the torch. So let me just do it one more time. Seahawks, Packers, Patriots, Broncos. But if there's a team that could pull off an upset, probably the Colts.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lane. Go to Mr. Z for your picks.
I did my picks on a paper plate used for eating. My AFC picks are the Patriots over the Ravens. I think the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think they're awesome, and they're not going to get stopped by Baltimore. I have the Broncos over the Colts. I like Peyton Manning. I think he has enough in him for one final showdown with Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game. As far as the NFC, I like Seattle over Carolina. Look for Carolina to give them a game, though. Their defense against playing well, and I think it was a very low-scoring game when they met in the regular season. So I think that's going to be a really good game. I'm going with Dallas over Green Bay. I don't think the Cowboys are going to win, but like I said, I'm very superstitious, and I never pick against them. So Dallas over Green Bay.
All right, there's the 4 picks from Mr. Z. Stephen Page, do you have picks for the playoffs this week?
I guess I will go with Dallas. I will go with the Colts. And I will go, of course, with the New England Patriots. And what was the other team? I'm drawing a blank.
I'm losing you. I can't hear you. You still there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
We hear you.
All right. What was the other game? It's Dallas and Green Bay.
Seattle and Carolina.
Okay, Seattle. I will take Seattle, obviously. I
All
don't
right.
think if you pick Carolina, you are, high on crack.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to have another incident like last week. So, Rude, you have your playoff predictions.
I'm going to go Montreal, San Jose, Kansas City, and Wichita.
You realize Wichita's star running back is out for the season?
I want to, in all seriousness, since I wasn't on the show earlier, I want to take this time to make a little quick sports comment. Thank you, Marlon Byrd. You have been traded. I do have to admit, with all the crappy moves that Ruben Amaro has made, I definitely am a fan of this trade. We got a young stud in Ben Lively, the Phillies did, and I believe he is going to be a future star if he pans out, of course, if he pans out. Marlon Byrd for Ben Lively. I like it. Good trade, Ruben. Bring in some young guns, and in a couple years he's going to be a star. My opinion.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there could be another show about the Phillies off season, but hopefully all these guys pan out. But we won't know if these trades are good, in my opinion, until a couple years down the road. So anyway, let's get to final thoughts. 10-12, I gotta go to bed. I gotta finish watching this Villanova game too. They're losing by 1. All right, final thoughts. My final. What's that?
Channel's
it's on Fox Sports 1. My final thought will be. I didn't think about this too much. It's bad host, but I will talk about the Phillies and the direction of the Phillies. And I'm going to do an audible here, and I'm going to talk about the Eagles because I just thought of something to talk about. The Eagles fired Tom Gamble this past week, and 2 days later turned around and promoted both Chip Kelly and Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman's no longer in charge of player personnel. Chip has all the power, which I'm a full supporter for. I don't think that Howie Roseman's done a decent job. He's brought in some guys who are okay. Malcolm Jenkins, Connor Barwin, but overall I think he's made some questionable moves. But there's always been that gray area. Who's actually pushing the buttons? Was it Roseman or was it Kelly? So I'm looking forward to see what Kelly can do by himself with free reign, and hopefully next year we'll have a better result than 10 wins again, and like we did the past 2 years. So, Mr. Z, final thoughts?
My final thoughts. As many of you know, the sports world lost a very good voice this past Sunday, and ESPN SportsCenter anchor Stuart Scott. He really, Justin and I have been, we're the youngest of the group here, and really Stuart Scott. I feel like we kind of grew up hearing his voice many days on SportsCenter, hearing his catchphrases, and it's very sad. He battled cancer. Everyone knows his story, how strong he was. His motivational speech to the ESPYs. If you haven't watched it, just watch it. Anybody who's battling cancer or a family member or a friend who's battling cancer should watch it because it's really moving and really sad that Stuart Scott passed away at such a young age, and just a cool, funny guy from what I could see on the TV, and he's definitely going to be missed. So rest in peace, Stuart Scott.
Absolutely. Z, if you get a chance, check out Tony Bruno's Twitter. Last night he tweeted some videos of him and Stuart Scott back in the ESPN days. If you get a chance, they're pretty funny.
Yeah, I got to check that out.
Bruno and Stuart Scott. Stephen Page, any final thoughts?
I should know who Wilbur Schneider is. I'm sorry about my wrestling knowledge. I'm not on my A game. Apparently, I did a little research on him, and apparently he's the one that created the abdominal stretch. Apparently.
I don't want to disrespect if Mr. Mark Golden's watching. He might hate me for this, but I don't give a damn about Wilbur Snyder. And Jim Ross, I love you. You're a legend. But for you to get offended that someone said who does Wilbur Schneider, I mean, stop being so damn sensitive, man. Leave my creation alone.
All right, Mr. Lane, your final thought.
Well, my final thoughts was, I mean, I'm looking forward to more playoff football. The Raw thing was awful. I thought, when they brought back the Authority, I thought that was terrible Raw last night, But having said that, I'm ready for more NFL playoffs. I'm hoping that the old sheriff still has a lot of bullets left in his gun.
In his cup.
All
right, thank you guys. That's been the Horseman Hangout.
Hey, wait a minute. No, I didn't get a final thought here.
Your final thought was Wilbur Schneider.
That was.
All right, go ahead. Final thought.
Check out the new Monday Night Wars episode. There's an entire hour dedicated to Mr. Vince Russo. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but it's definitely worth a look. Check that out if you're interested in how the Attitude Era came to be and how the fall of WCW came to be. Some of it's biased, some of it's truthful. You can be the judge. But the entire hour is pretty much dedicated to Mr. Russo. I would check that out, the new Monday Night Wars episode. Also, shout out to Mr. Smiley Gibbons. We're going to be seeing him shortly, I'm sure, on my YouTube channel.
I was just going to say that. We haven't heard too much of Smiley Gibbons, but I was chatting with him today on Twitter. Interesting things he had to say.
It got kind of heated on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, frankly, I'm just going to say right now that I challenge him to come on the Hangout one of these weeks, hopefully next week, and show his cowardly face and talk about his...
For all these years.
Well, he doesn't have... He has a pager, so I'll have to page him.
Well, have him come over or something. I don't know. I'm tired of him talking crap on Twitter. Back up what you got to say. So.
Well, I think you're picking fights with him. You're just a hater.
That's what I think.
No, I mean I think he's a washed-up journalist who's past his prime, and he tries to go on Twitter and direct message.
You try to discredit him like he hasn't had this long, illustrious career. Like the results and the reporting journalism are there.
I asked him today what his most proud moment was as a journalist. You know what he said? He said,
"Cover the O.J. Simpson trial."
Yeah, but for Sports Illustrated for kids, he said.
Are they not a news medium? Excuse me.
Why would Sports Illustrated for kids cover the O.J. Simpson trial?
Wasn't that a national story when we were in second grade?
He obviously just made that up.
Weren't you ripping the cards out of Sports Illustrated for kids, reading Buzz Boomer on the back, and reading about the O.J. Simpson trial? Smiley Gibbons was the man you were reading as a second grader at Notre Dame Regional School.
You just didn't know it.
All right, Gibbons, next week you come on this show. We'll set the record straight, all right?
Hopefully he's watching.
All right, guys, have a good week. Happy 2015. Catch you guys hopefully next week. There you go. Right on.
Mr. Lane, what's Mr. Lane's board say?
Bye-bye from the iPad.
All right.